It's Christopher Dixieland Farm, and I'm making a vinyl community video. Haven't done one of these in quite a while. I've been taking a hiatus from the VC. I'm sure most of you have noticed. I'm sure you've sent a telegram, bouquet of flowers, what have you. And been thinking about the vinyl community a lot lately, what it means to me, what it used to be, what it is now, and stuff like that. And watching a James Griffith video inspired me to make this video. It's a slightly different take. His was on legendary albums, but this is more, you know, some people will complain that the vinyl community is a gatekeeping community, that there are certain things that, you know, we won't even talk to you if you don't know about. And that's true. It's true. So here are gatekeeping albums. You must own these albums on vinyl to be part of the vinyl community for the most part. And you're allowed to sub some in and out, but not many. Not many. I mean, 4 out of 5 you got to have these. They've got to be on vinyl, like I said. And if you are part of the metal vinyl community, or the jazz only vinyl community, or the hip hop only vinyl community, which is there one? I'm not sure. Of course, this is not going to fully apply to you. And if you're part of the classical vinyl community, we've already killed you off. You don't exist. So don't worry about it. We don't take you as part of the vinyl community. That's why we killed off Blake years ago. Okay, so Beach Boys, Pet Sounds has to be in your collection. Bonus points if you have Smile. You must have Big Star, and constantly talk about how great Big Star is, but unfortunately, you not only have this album, you actually have to have this album to participate in the vinyl community. You got to have both albums. Can't have just one. Which is a shame, because if there was a CD community, which there isn't, you got this as a twofer, which is what I got in the 90s. But now you have to buy both of them. You must have Ziggy Stardust, and most likely you must also have Heroes by David Bowie. You've got to have this album, which I don't like, but I've got to have it to be part of the vinyl community, is Bird, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. I think it's quite overrated, and I think there are plenty of other country rock albums that are better. You've got to have Ram, even if you don't have the Beatles, which you're somehow allowed to have a pass, which I don't think you should, but you are allowed to have a pass. You've got to constantly talk about how great Ram is, which it's not. If it was anybody other than McCartney, you would think it's all right. And this album by McCartney, I think, it's all right. Go on about Leonard Cohen. You know, this is an album for people who said, you know, I think I need a more annoying Bob Dylan, and off-put my spouse. So you got to have a Leonard Cohen, doesn't matter which one. That's probably the preferred one. Got to go on about If I Only Knew My Name by David Crosby. You don't have to have Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but you've got to have this and go on and on and on about it. Got to have at least a Doors record. The first one will go, but you have to have this plus another one if you're going to have more. I mean, you can't not have this one, even though, I don't know. Must have a Dylan, must probably have Blonde on Blonde, most likely. That's just the rules. I know you know that. This one is probably a controversial thing, but you'll have to go on and on about how Tusk is a masterpiece. And, you know, Rumors is for the for the best of people, right? You got to go on about Tusk, how great Tusk is. Got to have Flying Burrito Brothers. Also, don't care for it. I don't really care for Graham Parsons. That's a hot take, but I've got to have it, and I do. And I have Graham Parsons records also. Got to go on and on about early Genesis. Must have Lamb Dies Down on Broadway, even though this is an overblown piece of crap with a story that makes no sense. I certainly have the earlier albums, and you've got to also, of course, talk about how great Peter Gabriel Genesis is, and what a piece of crap Phil Collins is. You can have Tapestry for some reason. I honestly have never heard this album. I've never willingly put this album on, but you'll have to say, you know, out of all the 70s schlock crap, you'll have to go, oh yeah, I've got Tapestry. In the Court of Crimson King by King Crimson. Also, I don't think their best album. I don't even think it's a good album. It's an okay album. The first song is incredible though, so it makes up for everything else. And Moonchild's a good song, but that's only because it was in Buffalo '66. As you know, I think the way superior album is in the Wake of Poseidon, but that's a hill I'll die on alone. Got to go on about the Village Green Preservation Society by the Kinks. I'm not going to say it's not great, but I mean, this will be all people have and all to talk about, really. And the string from '66 to '71, every album is as good as this. But you'll go on and on about that thing. Go on and on about Muswell Hillbillies, which I think is a fair album. It's fine. It's a good Kinks album. But the way out of proportion love for it, I don't know. Hot take, I don't know, controversial. Got to have a Kraftwerk, probably Trans-Europe Express, but Man Machine or Radioactivity or Autobahn, you know, I think all of us. You'll have to go on and on about Forever Changes by Love, an album I did not get for years. I'm like, I just don't see what the appeal is. I do now. I think it's an excellent album, but I always said that I think Da Capo is better, and this album is not. You'll have to defend why you like this album, because everyone will go on, what about side 2, which is just one long song. What about side 2? I mean, whatever. Out of proportion, everyone. Blue. Oh, Joni Mitchell's Blue. Oh, it's such a great album. Yeah, it is, but so is Cord and Spark. Just as good. Hot take, I think Ladies of the Canyon is just as good. So the reason why Blue is out of proportion for everything, and you have to have that one, I don't know. You'll go on and on about how Metal is the better album. It is in points, but, there's some fluff on this also. Also one long side, Echoes. You give Pink Floyd a pass with submarine noises, but you won't give Da Capo a pass. But also, here's a nice pair, because this is a Saucer Full of Secrets and a Saucer Full of Secrets. I said Secrets, jeez. Secrets and, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. You'll go on and on about how great Piper at the Gates of Dawn is, but you won't give the same love to just Syd Barrett solo. I don't know. This is a twofer with SF Sorrow on it. You'll have to have the Pretty Things SF Sorrow. This twofer is great. Why buy a reissue when you can buy this twofer from the analog era, opposed to a reissue, which is just the CD copied to an album? I don't know. But you people, I don't know. Go on and on about Rock and Roll Animal and Transformer, while there's Berlin out there and far better Lou Reed albums, in my opinion, as a Lou Reed fan. I don't have the Modern Lovers, I just have the Jonathan Richman album, which makes me cooler, obviously, because I've got this. But yeah, Jonathan Richman, the Modern Lovers, right, because of Roadrunner. You got to have that album. Out of proportion love for Exile on Main Street. I'm not saying it's not a great album. I'm not saying it's one of the greatest double albums of all time. It is, but like, you'll have this one, but you won't have the other ones. It's out of proportion. Bonus points for having the lenticular, their Satanic Majesty's Request. Also bonus points if you rank this as one of their top 3 albums. Shout out to Vinyl Richie. Again, you'll be out of proportion for Something Anything. It's okay. It's for a Todd Rundgren album, but I certainly think A Wizard of True Star is way better of an album. And this is the one that everyone should have to have if they're going to have a Todd Rundgren album. For some reason, the Seeds, I don't know why. They're, besides pushing too hard, that's it. But everyone seems to have this album. You got to be a cool kid. You got to have Come On to My House from Sparks. For a long time, you had to have Spirit, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. That had to be in your collection. No exceptions. Again, you'll go on and on about Darkness on the Edge of Town, or The River, or Nebraska. I'll be honest with you, I think I've listened to those albums once. They're fine. But there's Bruce Springsteen's. I mean, if I want to listen to Dylan, I'll listen to Dylan. Hot take, bad comments, I'm sure. Any Steely Dan album, you'll at least have to have one, even if you don't like Steely Dan. And if you're in the vinyl community, you love Steely Dan, and it'll be in you'll have every damn record. Marissa hates them. I think you'll have to have Fear of Music. I'm not sure. This one's, I was like, well, but I think you do. And I think you'll have to have the textured cover, otherwise you're a poser. I think. This one I agree with. You have to have Marquee Moon. Otherwise we won't let you in. Fabulous album. Out of all the Velvet albums, Velvet Underground and Nico is the one I listened to the least. I guess it's the most shocking at the time. Everyone will go on about how the third album is probably their favorite, or the fourth album. Well, everyone, of course, knows is White Light, White Heat is my favorite. So that's with the Banana Intact, the fake reissue, which is, again, just the CD on a piece of plastic that you'll overpay for because you will refuse to have CDs. A Stevie Wonder album from the 70s, doesn't matter which one, you will have to have at least one. You will probably have more than one. You will have to have one of the three Yes albums, right? But most likely Close to the Edge or Fragile, or you'll probably have them all. You'll have to have a Neil Young album from the 70s. You'll probably show this one, but you are cooler if you show this one. You'll have to have Hot Rats by Frank Zappa, even if you're not a Frank Zappa fan. Same thing with Probably. You'll have to have Apostrophe. And you'll have to have, again, I'll agree with this one, Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. You'll have to have those. For a long time, you would have had to have at least a few jazz albums. You would have had to have Time Out by Brubeck. Optional, but you probably had Kenny Burrell's Midnight Blue. You would have had to have A Love Supreme, otherwise we wouldn't let you in. You probably would have had to have either Shape of Jazz to Come by Ornette Coleman or Free Jazz by Ornette Coleman, or if you have at least one free jazz album by anybody, I think that at least counts. Would have had to have A Kind of Blue. Probably bonus points if you had Sketches of Spain. A long time ago, back in the, 2010, you would have had to have Errol Garner's Concert by the Sea. Everyone would have to have had Gilberto. A lot of times you would have had to have Paul Horn Inside. You would have had to have Keith Jarrett's Cone Concert. You would have had to have Push Push by Herbie Mann, just so that way you could be in sync with Guess I'm Just a Spud Boy. I think you would have had to have Off Ramp by the Pat Metheny Group. You probably would have had to have at least one Blue Note, most likely the Sidewinder, but there's probably a few others you would have had to have. One of them I didn't pull out, but let me pull it out real quick. Don't look at my crotch. Don't look at my crotch. You're looking, aren't you? Hold on. I'm going to get it. Don't worry. Yeah. Yep. You would have had to have Zobel. If you were going to be in the vinyl community in the early 2010s, you would have had to have this album also. And of course it's cut out. Of course it's a promo because this dude didn't sell anything. He was a kid. But you would have had to have this if you wanted to be part of the vinyl community. And one Weather Report album. Most likely, I Sing the Body Electric would have got you better points than the slightly later Heavy Weather or a few of those albums. So yeah, that's exhausting. And I still got it underneath 15 minutes. So props to me. What do you think of my list? You think that's accurate, boys and girls? I think you would have had to purchase most of those. What a dumb hobby for you to be part of. You get all this stuff free immediately right now on YouTube, but you would have had to spend up to $1,000. Some of these albums you would have had, and you would have paid another $50 to $100 to have a slightly better copy of something that's already on the digital services. Oh, God have mercy on your souls for being part of the vinyl community, everybody. But if you're here, welcome. Let's talk about metal together, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I just picked out a random one. Yeah. Again, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'd rather listen to Mike Nesmith. Bonus points if you had Mike Nesmith. That's going to dovetail to another video of mine that I'll make eventually here. Albums that, if I saw in your collection, I'd think you're cool. And I'd be like, ooh, these are records that if I see in a record store or in someone's collection, I go, they're onto something. All right. Take care.